Hi, I'm Ángela Mendoza.
I am Ana García. Who are the spectators? Welcome to another broadcast of our Chemcast. We will talk about chemical reaction. First, we will define what is this. Are the processes by which chemicals interact to form new chemicals with different compositions.
Taking as a reference what my partner said, when we talk about chemical reaction, it is important to mention that there are chemical equations which are the representation of the chemical reaction.
Since we have a more or less basic context on the topic, we welcome you to a group of research specialized in the chemical area of the Cideb Association. They will give us a broader summary of the topic.
We start with the engineer Andrés Canto. Nice to have you here. Could you explain the parts of the chemical equation clearly?
This is important to understand. The parts are as follows. The left part is the reactants and the right the products. The small number that appears have the name of subscripts, which is the number of molecules of the element, and the coefficient, which is the large number that is next to the elements and represents the amount of them.
Continue with the engineer Carlos Ramírez. What are the evidence that indicate that there is a chemical reaction?
Well, it is obvious because there is a release of heat, gas, color, light, and energy. There is also a color change. On the other hand, there is a solid formation. Since we talk about the topic, I would like to move on to balancing equations, since I am excited to explain it. In a nutshell, an equation for a chemical reaction in which the number of atoms for each element in the reaction and the total charge is the same for both.
Excellent. Now that we have entered into the topic of the chemical equations, would we please take the word engineer Paloma Villarreal about the types of chemical equations?
Sure. Well, in this type there is an exchange of matter. The first one is synthesis reaction, which occurs when two or more reagents combine to form a single product. The second is decomposition reaction. This is a nutshell when a substance decomposes to produce two or more simple substances. The following, as its name indicates, is single replacement, reacts when an element that is not combined and moves an element of the compound. Double replacement is when two or more chemical compounds change their components, and finally combustion reaction. In this, the key is that it produces energy. In the equation you will find carbon dioxide and water.
Interesting. I would like to ask engineer Andrés Canto, what are the reactions where there is an exchange of energy?
Well, there are two reactions, the endothermic and the exothermic. As you mentioned, the two reactions were grabbed in the word energy. However, the endothermic reaction is when it absorbs energy from the environment. In this case, heat is transformed from outside to inside the system. When we place a thermometer while the endothermic reaction occurs, the temperature decreases. On the other hand, using the same example of the thermometer in an exothermic reaction, this is the one where the energy flows out of the system. This energy is released in the form of heat, so that by placing a thermometer in the reaction system, the temperature rises.
There are many factors that influence the speed of a reaction. For example, concentration, temperature, particle size, and catalysis. The engineer América Villegas will give us a brief explanation about it.
The speed of reaction increases if we increase the concentration, the temperature if we use a catalyst, and if we use small particles. On the other hand, the speed of reaction can decrease if we invert the factor I mentioned previously, and also if we are inverter.
Since we have more knowledge of the topic, we can move on the stoichiometry in chemical reaction. That study the relationship that exists between the quantities of the reactants and the products in a chemical reaction. We know that mole is a concept closely related to the topic, but what is this?
The mole is the unit of quantity of matter of the international system, which is equivalent to the mass of so many elementary units. On the other hand, the number of particles contained in 1 mole of substance, the so-called Avogadro number, can be known by various methods, mechanical, radioactive, electrical, and turns out to be a quantity of 6.022 times 10 minus 23. Another important concept is the molar mass. In chemistry, the molar mass of a chemical compound is defined as the mass of a sample of that compound divided by the amount of substance in that sample, measured in moles.
As well we know, stoichiometry has a great influence on everyday life. What would it be?
In everyday life, there are several elements that we use every day for our benefits, such as shampoo, soap, oils, gasoline, and in the same food. Chemical engineers use stoichiometry as a base tool for the production of the aforementioned elements, since the object can contain chemical compounds that must be handled with perfect precision to make the most of a chemical material. In other words, the stoichiometry allows a company to make a profit.
In summary, we can say that chemical reactions are of the most important since they are phenomena that we see daily in our lives and are the basis of the realization of vital functions and other activities of man or any other living being, such as the breathing is a chemical reaction since the body enters oxygen and carbon dioxide comes out. All the substances that we use or use other living beings were the product of chemical reactions.
We appreciate your visit. It was very helpful since they provide us with a clear and simple basis about the chemical reactions and everything that this process. See you next time.